Everybody, so we're still attending AFCO online and we're learning so many new things. Honestly, I've been overwhelmed with the amount of things I want to share, and I was like, you know what, I feel like you end up being so overwhelmed that you get to a point where you're like, you know what, I'm just not going to share anything. And I was like, no, that's exactly what the enemy would have you do, is to be so overwhelmed that you don't end up sharing anything. So I'm making this effort to share at least one thing that I've learned today, and we've learned a lot, but this was pretty solid. So I love this Bible verse because I've used this before myself. James 4 verse 7 says, "Therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." I've used this verse before because how else are you supposed to get the devil to get away from you? And what happened to me was I actually was having a nightmare where these people were attacking me, and I literally said this in my dream. And when I said it, I woke up and I was freed, and that was pretty awesome. So the question you have to ask yourself is, what areas in your life are you not submitting to God, and have you submitted yourself completely to God, right? Are there things that you're like, well, I submit myself to God here, but I won't let God tell me not to eat potato chips? And not because potato chips are bad, but they're just not the most healthy thing to eat, or like, oh, I'll let God decide what I do on certain days, but this is my day and I can do whatever I want on my day. And I think we have that habit, right? We always want to have control over something. But the best way to I think it's funny, the best way to have control of your life is actually to completely give it over to God. But a good example would be what we're going over today was Matthew 4, verses 1 through 11, but specifically verses 1 talks about how Jesus went into the wilderness to be tempted, right? So that means he's being tempted. That means they are actual temptations, or else it wouldn't be a temptation. So verse 4 is he's being tempted to turn the rocks into bread because he's hungry. And what is interesting is, like Dwayne Lemon mentioned, was there a part of Jesus that probably wanted to do that? And said, yeah. The first thing I said was, yeah, his stomach. His stomach probably really wanted to turn those stones into bread. That my stomach is always talking to me, is like, yes, feed me, and I have to. But this verse always helps me when I'm fasting or I'm trying not to starve. It's that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And then again, it happens 2 other times where he is tempted by the devil, and he responds back with Bible verses. The Bible verses come from Deuteronomy, which reminds us that we need to know the Word of God, and not just know it, but we need to submit to it. But going back to Jesus feeling hunger, but even though it didn't make sense, he denied his feelings and he submitted to the Word of God. So there's going to be lots of times in our lives where we are feeling some kind of way, or we're not feeling we don't agree, something doesn't make sense to us. But that's what submission is. It's, you know what, maybe I don't agree with that, but I'm going to submit and trust you so as to get to the good result. Actually, there's a quote that says, deny feelings, do the word, and then God gives good feelings afterwards. And I love that because it makes sense. In this world, we're constantly being told, do your own thing. I think that's literally one of the quotes. And the other one is trust your feelings. Just do it. Everything is telling you to follow your heart. But if I followed my heart, I would be eating donuts and ice cream and everything I want, despite the fact that my stomach might not like it or my insides don't like it. And the fact of the matter is we have to trust God. God knows what's best. It's like when you're a kid and you're trusting your parents to feed you every day or to provide for you every day. It's us fully trusting in God. Well, but basically, long story short, of all this message is that
3 days later,
type of person that tends to go in circles and circles. So ultimately, submit ourselves to God, and the devil will flee from us. Oh yeah, that's the final point. Was that in this story from Matthew 4, 1 to 11, is that Jesus resists the devil 3 times because he is tempted 3 times. And then guess what happens in verse 11? The devil flees. So if you ever need an example of how does James 4:7 work, Jesus did it, he applied it, he set the example, and now we know how to do it. So know the Word of God so you can submit yourselves to it, and then the devil will flee from you. And that's one of the big nuggets I learned today. Thank you.